Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is Amoabeng Nimako, and I'm presenting this paper on behalf of myself and my other two colleagues, Rose Nikal and Chris Akelogu, to both of the University of Nairobi. Our paper is entitled Agricultural Commercialization and Diet Quality in Northern Ghana, the Mediating Effect of Fertilizer Subsidies. So indeed, food insecurity and malnutrition are still big issues globally, and Sub-Saharan Africa is one of the worst affected. And the need for agricultural strategies to tackle these issues cannot be overemphasized. Definitely why we are here. Mostly such agricultural strategies to tackling malnutrition are usually pro-staple, as staple crops are the most consumed and easiest to reach the populations of interest. And mostly, again, smallholder farmers are the populations of interest here. So most often these strategies come in the form of subsidies or some kind of support to staple crops, and Ghana's fertilizer subsidy program is just cast in that shape, and it's going to be our interest of study today. So the program was started in 2008 in response to the then global food crisis, but it has today become the country's #1 agricultural policy tool. So the stated objectives of the program, among other things, had commercialization as a key pillar through improved input use, and then increasing productivity and output, marketable surpluses, and then by extension, increased commercialization. So since 2008, the program has contributed to the country's achievement of staple food self-sufficiency and has helped to reduce hunger and food insecurity at the national level. But at the household level, there are still pockets of food insecure households, and particularly diet quality by way of nutritional diversity has also not moved at the same pace as the improvement in hunger situations. In such a case, then the viability of such agricultural strategies to take the food security discussion beyond just availability and sufficiency is now brought to question. And in an effort to answer this question is what is motivating our study today. So the main purpose of the study is to assess how the fertilizer subsidy program influences commercialization to leverage it for food consumption. And to achieve this, we first characterize households by their participation in the, or otherwise in the FSP. Then we assess the effect of the program on maize commercialization. Maize farmers were the targets, were the respondents in this case. Then we assessed the implications of commercialization as accruing from the FSP now for household food consumption. So the study was conducted in the Upper West region of Ghana, which is quite rural and agriculture in nature, or dependent on agriculture, hence had good linkages with malnutrition. In fact, it's the most malnourished and the poorest in the country. So we deemed it relevant for such kind of a study. So 3 districts in the region were selected, and a total of 238 households selected for the study. So we conceptualized that a government intervention, in this case the GFSP, will help to improve commercialization through marketable surpluses, and then from there commercialization will improve diet quality through market purchases, etc. And in all these interactions, the red boxes are showing socioeconomic and community characteristics of households are supposed to shape up these dynamics. So in our analytical strategy, we try to abstract our conceptual framework into this equation here in equation 1. So we show that food consumption, as shown by the food consumption score, is a function of some exogenous factors captured in ZFCS, and then of interest CCI, which is the commercialization index, which in itself is a function of the fertilizer subsidy program, which also a function of some other thing. So that is what we break down in the 3 equations, and that's how our analysis will follow. So from the results, we find that 62% of FSP participant households participated in maize markets as compared to 12%. Again, participants in the FSP sold about 40% of their maize output compared to just 5% by non-participant households. So this casts an image of the FSP contributing to commercialization. We also find that cropland allocation to maize was highest for participants in the FSP compared to non-participants. So in a nutshell, we are finding already that participants in the FSP seem to be a bit specialized and more reliant on maize than non-participants of the FSP, which is something that has been found in the literature before. However, by way of food consumption, we find that non-participant households have slightly better diets than participants' households, as shown in the green label of food consumption. So, however, this is not statistically significant. By way of categorization, we find that most households in the non-participant households most households there are in the acceptable food consumption region. So this is our first step of analysis. We are not very much interested in this. The second step now looks at the effect of the FSP now on maize commercialization. And we find that truly the participation in the FSP leads to about 33% more maize output sold. So participating in the FSP increases the commercialization index of maize by about 33 to 34%. However, the gains from commercialization do not appear to contribute to food consumption, as in fact it has a negative influence. Though the magnitude is small, it has a negative influence. So these two variables are thought to explain it a little bit: female involvement in agricultural decisions in the household and distance to market, which had effect also on food consumption. So in conclusion, we find that the FSP truly leads to commercialization, which is good news for the program because it is a key pillar or a key objective of the program. So that is good news. However, translating the commercialization to consumption is still not realized and must be looked at. And as was found, we find that when income is in the mix, we find that female involvement becomes key, which is why female involvement in agriculture could be more of a positive influence. Again, we find that distance to market, as is shown by this green label here, distance to market had those who are further away from market appear to have better diet. And it is because mostly those who are further away from the market are quite diversified in production. So we recommend that for the FSP to be effective in taking the discussion beyond just sufficiency, then there's a need to expand the program to support a wider range of crops so that diversification begins right from production. Then we need to upgrade our markets and physical infrastructure to improve market linkages that support the income pathway to consumption, which we are promoting by way of commercialization. And then again, when income is in the mix, then we have to improve the productive and income control capacity of women. Thank you very much for listening, and your questions are very much welcome.